Thank you, Corinne. Actually, Steve made the case because he showed so many examples why azathioprine works and should be used monotherapy. But let's review that. When I have this question, very often I'm asking to clinicians with a huge experience, what are they doing? And I ask actually this question to Jacques Cohn, my friend Jacques Cohn in Paris. I asked Jacques, are you still using azathioprine monotherapy? And this is what he showed me in Crohn and UC. And look, even in this era of anti-TNF, he's still using azathioprine monotherapy. This is in pink. It's almost 30% of his patient. Not to say he's right, but I think that in the hands of a good clinician like him, this means something. So what should we consider when reviewing this question? I think we should consider three different things: efficacy, safety, practicality, and cost. And maybe it's because in US, Steve has not considered the cost at all, but as a European, I can tell you this is big. So we will concentrate on Crohn's disease. So the first point that I want to make is that the drug works. So this is the first meta-analysis looking at azathioprine for inducing remission, 2010, and actually the meta-analysis was positive. I agree, Steve, that the second one published a few years later was negative. But what remains certain and has been confirmed is that azathioprine monotherapy is effective for maintenance and for steroid-sparing effect. Azathioprine is also effective for fistula improvement or healing. This is a meta-analysis, even though it was limit significant and it was a wide range, there is indication that the drug works also in that setting. And this is, once again, the study for maintaining remission. And here I think it's very clear. And look at the NNT. The NNT is 6, which is very good and comparable to what has been observed with biologics. So this drug is effective for steroid sparing, maintaining remission, is effective in fistula, and is effective, as Steve mentioned, for the prevention of post-op recurrence of Crohn's disease. This is a meta-analysis by Laurent Perrin, looking at different endpoints, clinical recurrence, endoscopic recurrence, and severe endoscopic recurrence. And for all those different endpoints, the drug was effective. So I really wonder, why should we abandon a drug that works? Are we so rich? We have so many drugs? And once again, it's because of Bill. Because Bill throws his stone in the water. In 2013, is there still a role for thiopurine in Crohn's disease? This was an editorial that he published in Gastro, which has had a strong impact. And Bill made the point, okay, it's very clear that azathioprine on the left-hand side is much less effective than infliximab monotherapy or combo for steroid-free remission and for mucosal healing. Okay, it's less effective. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work. And Bill was actually commented on the two studies that Steve has just presented, so I will not go through these two studies. This is a rapid study, the French one, which was difficult to recruit. We spent almost 5 years to recruit this patient with criteria for disease severity. The endpoint is not something that we are really used to because this is a proportion of trimester in remission. And the interpretation was that the study was negative, but there was a lot of caveats, including in particular the fact that the thiopurine were not optimized, that the primary endpoint was not usual. And actually what Steve forgot to mention is that the study was positive as far as a reduction of surgery for fistula. We had in parallel the Aztec study, but he already commented on that, and there were also several weaknesses in this trial, including the fact that thiopurine was not optimized, and actually for some secondary endpoints, the study was positive. So I don't think this study were strongly convincing. And once again, the point is this. I think this is my most important slide. When you are talking about azathioprine, so you can see Steve is there. I am here. So it's the tortoise and the hare. Rien ne sert de courir, il faut partir à point. And all about azathioprine is about the long-term impact of the drug. And there are data now showing, we need to consider Crohn as a chronic progressive disease. And what is most important is to change the natural history, the long-term progression of the disease. And this is not a matter of months or even some years, it's several years. And this is why we have built this Lehman index to measure this progression of damage. And the problem is that the current studies that we have are not able to answer this question because this is a black box. Basically, we don't have any data in clinical trials beyond 12 months. So once again, we need to go to population-based study. And this is a study from Portugal, from Fernando Magro, big study, almost in 1,000 patients, looking at the change in disease behavior, so B1 inflammatory, B2 stenosing, and B3 fistulizing. In patients who were not treated before change, we receive azathioprine before change or combo. And it's very clear that azathioprine by itself was able to prevent the change in behavior, meaning that patients were able to remain as an inflammatory state with less evolution toward surgery and towards complication. And this was same for anti-TNF and AZA. There was a strong difference between no treatment and azathioprine, but no significant difference between azathioprine alone and anti-TNF. And this was a long-term study, more than 3 years. And to my point, this is a very important long-term endpoint, which is so important for our patients. It's surgical resection. And when you accumulate all these data, some in pediatrics, this is our population-based study, it's very clear that azathioprine is associated, mono is associated with a strong reduced risk of surgical resection in Crohn's disease. So this drug works very well in the long term. What about safety? And actually, we are a little bit guilty about that because the French were very concerned about the safety of azathioprine in the recent years. But when you look at the data from Gary about infections, immunomodulators alone in the treat, no increased risk. When you discuss about lymphoma and azathioprine, okay, look at the relative risk and the absolute risk. There are 3 different kinds of lymphoma. This kind of lymphoma, post-transplant-like lymphoma that you can observe in all patients. And the absolute risk is 1 for 1,000 patient years. So it's very small. What needs to be considered are those 2 lymphoma, the early post-mononucleosis lymphoma and the hepatosplenic T-cell lymphoma, because there, the absolute risk, for instance, for this one, becomes significant. But it's very easy. You just have to exclude from azathioprine monotherapy young males who are EBV negative, and then the risk doesn't exist anymore. About the risk of lymphoma, we also need to stratify patients by age, because when you look at this SESAME study, the risk is significant when you start azathioprine after 65, but look at this young age group. This young age group, there is no increased risk of lymphoma at all. So maybe this has been a little bit overstated. As far as the risk of non-melanoma skin cancer, once again, looks at the difference according to age. When you look at young patients, less than 50, there is an increased risk. I think this is not disputable, but my point is that it's very easy to prevent this risk. Just follow this rule. For instance, this is an algorithm that we have published with Johanna Torres, and you need to work with your dermatologist, and it will be very easy to stratify your patient to low risk, moderate risk, and very high risk, and basically to prevent 100% this risk of skin cancer. So in my experience, it's not such a big issue. And this drug is very safe. Azathioprine doesn't increase the risk of new or recurrent cancer in patients with past history of cancer. We have seen the presentation from Sinai 1 hour ago. This was shown by Laurent Baugerie 1 year ago. And azathioprine is safe during pregnancy, which I think it's a big point as well. And this is just to make the point that as far as safety, we have to be cautious. I believe that between this picture and this picture, we have now the full spectrum of side effects of azathioprine. So not only they change because now they have no more bow tie, but a real tie, which I think is much nicer. But the point is that, I mean, we are at the top, we are at the plateau of the knowledge of side effects of azathioprine, which may not be the case for other drugs. So we know, I think, the side effects of azathioprine. Finally, practicality and cost. And this is my big point. This is a study from Netherlands where they are very concerned about money. And they looked at the cost, healthcare cost of IBD in university medical center or general hospital. And just look at this white bar. This white bar is the cost of biologic therapy. So the cost of IBD now is no more driven by hospitalization or surgery, is driven by biologics. And in their experience, it accounts for 64% and 31% of total cost in Crohn's disease and UC. So this is my European view. With the same 1 year budget, one can treat efficiently 1 patient with anti-TNF and 100 with azathioprine. And I think we have to think about this cost issue. So when should we use thiopurine monotherapy? I think it's a matter of stratification. We need to stratify patients according to their prognosis. We have indolent patients and very aggressive patients. And we need to make progress in prediction of the course of the disease. And then once you are able to stratify this patient, you just have to follow the nice algorithm proposed by Bill Sandborn himself, who basically had to hit his hat because he was able to say, Bill, this is from Bill, that if you identify low-risk patients, and this is defined by these criteria, age more than 30 years, limited anatomic involvement, no perianal disease, superficial ulcer, no surgical resection, no stricturing and penetrating behavior, then in this low-risk patient, you should consider budesonide with or without AZA, but he mentioned azathioprine monotherapy, and this is the initial treatment. And as far as maintenance treatment, is considering as an option azathioprine monotherapy as well. So I believe that these patients exist, and I just would like to see one patient that I have seen last week, 33-year-old, non-smoker, Crohn's disease of ileum since 2004, CDI 200, no perianal disease. The SCSCD just ileal, so the SCSCD was 3, and he had some mildly active disease in the ileum. I think this is a perfect case for azathioprine monotherapy. Thank you.
Great.